Hi, welcome to the Northwest Surrogacy Center Meet a Surrogate webinar. My name is Carla, and I'm a case manager at NWSC.
And I'm Rachel. I'm a surrogate coordinator here at NWSC. Thank you so much for joining us today.
First, I'd like to tell you a little bit about NWSC. We were founded in 1994, and we're the largest surrogacy agency in the Pacific Northwest. We work with LGBT and straight intended families from the U.S. and all over the world. In fact, most of our families are international.
And as for the surrogates, we are currently working with women in Oregon, Colorado, and California. Carla and I are talking to you right now from our main office in Northeast Portland. We also have an office in San Francisco near the Giant Stadium and in Denver near Union Station downtown. Our surrogates help so many families, and in fact, last month we just celebrated our 100th baby born in 2016 through NWSC.
And we've invited two amazing women into the office today to talk about their experiences as surrogates with NWSC. The first is Erica, and she actually delivered one of those 100 babies earlier this year, so she's an experienced surrogate coming back for her second surrogacy. And we also have Nikki in the office, and she is pregnant with a surrogate baby due in the spring. So Erica and Nikki, hello. We're going to let them talk about their experiences, and after they have a chance to talk, they're going to answer your questions. So feel free to type in your questions at any time during the webinar.
And Carla and I will be back at the end to answer any remaining questions you have specifically for us. Thank you so much again for joining us, and now we'll turn it over to Erica and Nikki.
Bye.
Guys, good morning.
I'm Erica.
And I'm Nikki.
We both have two children. I have an 8-year-old girl and a 3-year-old son.
And I have two daughters, same age, 8 and 3.
So we're going to talk about our experiences, and then we can answer your questions at the end. So Nikki, what made you want to become a surrogate?
I actually had many fertility problems myself when I was younger. I was told by several doctors that I would probably need to do IVF or some type of fertility, and so looking through all the options and being told that I potentially couldn't have my own children made me really grateful that I was able to, and this is kind of how my husband and I see it as paying it forward. Like, we were lucky enough to be able to carry our own children, that we feel we should be helping others have their families as well.
Yeah, I felt the same way, wanting to help out a family that couldn't have babies on their own. After I had my daughter, I just felt so much joy, and I was like, I really want to share this with somebody. And then I ended up having my son, and the feeling was just overwhelming. I really wanted to help out a family, and have them be as blessed as I felt with my.
Yeah. I remember when I made the decision to do the intake form here with NWSC, having the conversation with my husband. I can still remember it. We were sitting in the parking lot at the bank, of all places, and I told him that I wanted to look into becoming a surrogate so that I could help a family, and his response was, "Of course you do. Like, why wouldn't you?" And he was kind of sarcastic, but then he realized that I was legitimately being honest, and he's been super supportive the entire time since then.
Yeah, when I told my best friend about it, he was like, "What? You're crazy. You can't do that." In my circle of friends, it wasn't like nobody knew a surrogate. It wasn't, really heard about.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, no, I'm serious. I want to do it. And as I was getting further along in the steps, they were like, wow, you really are doing this.
Yeah.
How was your screening process?
My screening process took a little longer, getting everything from the intake form through to the interview here with NWSC, and a lot of that had to do with my medical records coming from 2 different locations, and NWSC was great about helping track all that down. I didn't have to make 50 billion phone calls, which was really nice, but then once they got all the medical records and everything, it felt like it was night and day. I all of a sudden had an email with a profile to review, and then a match meeting scheduled, and so it felt like it took a while, but then once you actually got to that step of, okay, we have everything we need, we can start actually moving forward, it seemed like it happened so fast.
Yes, for me too. It was just boom, 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 next step, next step, next step. And Northwest Surrogacy Center just, kept letting me know what step we were on, and my medical records came in quite fast, so the process was a lot faster for me. Then as soon as you know it, then I was meeting my match, and the first person they matched me with was the perfectest match. It worked out, and
Was yours like that? You just knew?
Same. Yeah, no, I remember coming in on a Saturday with my husband to have our match meeting with Carla and everything, and we left, got in the car, and we just looked at each other and said, do we need to think about it? And he's like, I don't, do you? And the answer was no, I'll email Carla as soon as we get home. And we, like, literally within 2 days, I think we both emailed back saying, yes, we want to move forward. So
yes, I felt the same way. Like, mine was international, so I didn't get to meet them face to face, but it was over Skype. And it was me, and I remember I had my kids with me. I was actually breastfeeding my son while we were doing Skype. And it just like this connection. I just felt the connection. Then I finally did get to meet them in person, and it was like I had known them my whole life. I don't know how they did it, but it matches up perfectly. So how was your IVF experience?
My IVF experience was long. We actually started our IVF experience in September of last year. I went through 3 IVF cycles. I had 2 attempted transfers that failed, and then our 3rd one this past June is what took. So was very happy to get those results back. I remember the first shot being the most terrifying just because of the anxiety before actually doing it. But then when you actually do it, it's like, okay, that didn't hurt. What was I so anxious about? And other than that, I mean, my IVF experience was really great. The clinics that I worked with, Northwest Surrogacy helping me if I had any issues with appointments or anything like that was always, really smooth is what I felt like, even if it seemed like there was a lot of emails going back and forth or anything like that, which was nice.
I remember getting, they had FedEx all my medication I needed, and I laid it out on the table, and I was a little overwhelmed. I was like, this needle's going in me. And it was like the same thing. I was like psyching myself out. I was like, I can't do this anymore. There's no way I'm doing this. And then I did it. It didn't even hurt. I was like, okay.
It's that adrenaline. That adrenaline afterwards, you're like, why is my heart beating so fast? That was nothing.
Yes. The ones that I had to do in the backside, they a little hurt afterwards, but it really wasn't that big of a deal. And then the transfer was very painless. I had 1 transfer, and it took, but then miscarried at 8 weeks out. And then the second transfer took, and then I delivered the baby girl this February. So it was, I probably used over 100 needles in that time.
I know I did.
Yes, but it was all worth it.
Yeah, no, definitely. I felt that every needle that is in that Sharps container was worth it. And what's really nice, too, is like the community that NWSC created with other surrogates while you're going through everything. If you're not sure, like if you need help, like, hey, I'm sore or something like that, like through my IVF process, I had resources outside of just my case manager. I had other surrogates that I hadn't even met in person that are so willing to help you and everything like that. So that's always been extremely nice.
So this pregnancy, she's currently pregnant with her surrogacy baby.
19 weeks.
How is that different from when you're pregnant with the other 2?
I literally have had 3 different pregnancies because my first daughter was natural conception. She was I'm pregnant? What are you talking about? I was told this couldn't happen. My second daughter was oral fertility medication. Like I didn't have to do IVF, but it was orally. And then this one has been IVF needles, completely different type of pregnancy. Each one has come with its own set of differences. This pregnancy was different because I actually felt not like myself until after 10 weeks. So like that first trimester, I actually didn't feel great. Mm-hmm. But with my other pregnancies, I felt more like myself sooner. So that's been the biggest, I guess, difference besides pregnancy insomnia. I did not know that was even a thing. Experiencing that for the first time in my life recently, waking up, going to the bathroom, and then not being able to fall back asleep for about an hour. Yes, so my phone goes to bed with me now, so that way I have something to read, and then I can fall back asleep. So that's been something different.
Yeah, the having your own children and caring for somebody else, it made me feel like I had to be extra cautious of everything that I did. I was young with my daughter, and it was an easy breezy pregnancy. Then my son was 5 years later, and I was a little bit more tired. Then this one, I think I was 28 when I was pregnant starting it, and I did feel tired, but I felt like I couldn't, and like, do I want to risk this? No, I'm going to stay safe. And
Yeah.
yes, because you're carrying someone else's baby. So it's not just risk for yourself, it's risk for someone else's baby.
Yeah, no.
So I just felt extra cautious. I had to be more careful about what I did, what I ate, what I drank, where I went, activity levels.
I completely agree with that, because I remember with Autumn, my youngest, that my husband helped, but I did a lot more than I have done in the earlier stages with this pregnancy. My husband took on a lot around the house when we first started this journey and everything, after finding out that we were officially pregnant and everything. So definitely being more cautious.
Yes.
Everything. Yes. How was your relationship with your intended parents during your pregnancy?
It was amazing. Like I said, it felt like we had already known each other our whole lives. We first emailed practically every day, getting to know each other more, sending pictures, getting to know each other. And then even from there, it just started with texting and calling and Skyping and all that fun stuff. And it just felt like, I could talk about anything that I wanted, and he felt the same way. I went in this being flexible, whether the parents wanted, just to know just updates, but it became so much more than that. They really are my extended family, even to my children. Like, my children love them and know them. So that's how connected we are. And we still have that. Even after the baby, I just talked to them this morning. So that's how close we are.
I don't have the same relationship with my intended parents. They are a very busy couple. They actually just got back from an international trip. I didn't even, we sent them a text message update of how everything was going, and then they sent us a picture, good morning, from wherever they were, and got an email that they were back, and I was like, oh, okay, how's the jet lag? So, we definitely email and do like a group chat through online and everything like that. And we're very open in communication about, and same thing, was very open, didn't know how much my intended parents were going to want updates and things like that. So, I just send them as much information as I can, and then they're always very thankful. And, we've stayed with them, and they've even come down and, seen our house when it was being built and things like that. So it really is like they're more of extended family than, someone that you just happen to have met through this experience.
Yes, it can vary from, case to case. And luckily I got to have a really good experience with them. And when the birthing, that was a fun one. So I had 2 C-sections with my other children. So the third one was a planned C-section.
Okay.
But the little one decided to come a little bit earlier. Luckily, they had flew in. It was actually just the day before. We had spent the day together. I was helping them shop because they didn't know what to shop for. And we went to Babies R Us, and me being an experienced parent, I was like, well, this is what you do need. This is what you don't need to waste your money on. And also, they were flying back, so they didn't want to have too much they'd have to bring back with them. So then it was about, I think it was like 1 o'clock in the morning, and I thought I had peed the bed, and I hadn't. My water had broke, and so I called them up on the phone, 1 a.m. So can you meet me at the hospital? Baby's coming. So they took a taxi, and I got a ride to the hospital, and they did the testing, make sure it was my water, and they're like, yep, baby's coming. So around 4 a.m., the father was actually in the operating room with me, and the most specialist part about it was I could see his face, even though he had the mask on, I could see this huge smile and like the baby coming out because he's watching as the C-section's happening. He's like, whoa. And that image will never leave my mind. I was just so happy, and then him seeing holding the baby girl, it was just amazing. I hope it goes that way for you too.
I know that right now we're planning for traditional delivery. I haven't had C-sections with my previous, so I know that is not the intention of right now with my doctor and everything like that. So I'm hoping that, everything runs very smoothly and I get like those images just the same.
Do you want them in the room?
I do. I want both of my parents in the room with my husband as my support. So.
And you can choose that if you're uncomfortable with that. You don't. I mean, there's a birthing plan that everybody comes to terms with, and we also added on my birthing plan. We saved the umbilical cord blood. So that's an option too. So many different options for people.
So what made you choose to come back for a second surrogacy?
I remember talking to Carla, maybe not even a week after having the baby. I was just like, I need to do this again. I was like, it was just so amazing. And actually the family that I worked with wants to have a second child. So that's what we're planning for next year, is to doing it again. And I'm just very excited that I can help them, make their family bigger. Yes. And then, like I said, my current relationship with them is still strong. It's almost daily talks. And they send me pictures of the little one all the time. I've seen videos of her. My birthday was this month, and they had mailed me they're from Israel. They mailed me a package. My daughter was this is from Israel. So exciting. So we love getting packages from them. And the father, it was his birthday, and we had sent him a little surprise too. So I can't wait till it's the little one's first birthday.
Oh, that'll be so much fun.
Yeah, sending her a little package from us.
And I love how those relationships build with our intended parents as well, because the same thing happened with me. My birthday was at the end of September, and I went to the mailbox the day of my birthday, and there was one of the keys to the larger mailboxes, and it was from my parents, and I took it to work and I opened it at work and like read the card and like got teary. Like, it was so sweet. Like, I love that they thought of me like on my birthday and everything like that. And it was something from their hometown to that was very big and everything, and also had a lot of meaning from their culture and things like that. So it was really so thoughtful and so touching to get those types of things, which is extremely wonderful.
And it lets you know that they care about you. You're not just giving them a baby.
It's a relationship.
Yeah, and you're helping them create a family, and they're appreciative of that, What are you looking forward to most after you've had this baby?
I have two things. I most look forward to seeing them hold their baby afterwards. Like, that is, I can't wait for that moment. But I am looking forward to a full night's sleep, because I haven't had that in a little while. I haven't had that in the past couple of weeks. It's starting to, the wake up in the middle of the night, and then the pregnancy insomnia. So, I'm getting used to it, but a full night's sleep will be nice afterwards.
Yes. Well, the best thing about surrogacy is after you have the baby, it's not your responsibility to change the diapers.
That is true. I will enjoy going home and being able to heal and rest, but still have the updates of how the baby is doing and everything like that. So
yes, you get all the perks of being pregnant, eating and people opening doors for you, and that attention. And then after the baby, you just it was great, like helping them shop, like helping them spend their money for things that they needed. And like they didn't even know how to change a diaper when I had to teach them how to do that, and it was like it just felt great teaching them, but not having to do it myself.
Sharing your knowledge, sharing the mom knowledge.
Yes.
How did NWSC support you and the intended parents through your process?
Well, they were there for the ups and the downs. I remember after the first transfer with the miscarriage, it was Carla called me, and it was something. It was sad, but I still wanted to do my best and try it again. And they were there every step of the way. Like I even got packages from them to help with morning sickness. Anytime that I had a question about insurance or anything, I could send an email, usually got a reply the next day or got a phone call.
Mm-hmm.
I felt very supported by Northwest Surrogate Center. How about you?
The same. I had, with my experience of my 3 different transfers, I worked with 2 different fertility clinics. So that was a challenge in itself, just because obviously, one clinic accepted all of the results, and then second clinic maybe wanted me to redo stuff, and having my second clinic be out of state. So there was a lot of trying to figure out appointments and what paperwork needed to go where. And there was one point where I remember emailing Carla and going, help. I need help. I can't do this on my own at this point. And she just ran with it all, and it was just incredible to have that support. And I know she's done the same on, for my parents as well on their side.
Yes, the day after I had the baby, Carla was, she came and visited us. It was actually the first time that I had met her face to face, and it was really great to put her face to her voice. And again, it kind of felt like I had known her for a while. It was just like, just an instant bond with just my caseworker.
Any big surprises in the process?
Just how easy it was at the end. A lot of people are like, are you sure you're gonna be able to give up the baby? But how I thought of it was like I was just babysitting for 9 months. I was just helping this baby survive for a few months, and it wasn't mine. It wasn't my aid. So it came quite naturally for me, and I was a little bit afraid if I could handle that emotionally, but I just felt happy.
Yeah. I haven't had any really big surprises yet, which has been nice. I think the biggest surprise will actually come within the next week or so when we find out gender, because we don't know yet. So that'll be a great surprise right there is when we find that out.
Yes. So now we're going to take a few minutes to answer some of your guys' questions.
First question, what were your criteria for choosing intended parents? I was extremely open. LGBT, male, female, international. To me, it didn't really matter where the parents were or what their relationship was, whether it was a single parent or, two parents. And that's actually questions that they do ask you is, are you comfortable caring for a same-sex couple? Are you comfortable caring for a single parent, internationally, locally? I just happened to be really lucky that my first match lives within a 4-hour drive of me. So I have what is considered a local family to me, because to be honest, driving 3.5 hours is nothing for my husband and I. So, I was blessed in that regard, but there really wasn't any criteria that I think I based it off of.
I was open as well. I preferably wanted to help a gay couple. I actually got a gay male, and he was single at the time, but now he's not. Now it's a gay couple. And I was just, he reminded me a lot of myself. He was raised by a single mother, and we just have a lot to share. And I felt like Northwest just, matches perfectly on those grounds, and it worked out. What were specific difficulties for you because of having overseas parents? So there wasn't really any difficulties. I like that they were international. I think it works with less of a bond, emotionally, if they live closer, I would have to see them more or something. Now, them being overseas, they can have their life and I can still have mine, but we can still communicate, and I really do like that. It wasn't hard for me at all.
Let's see here. What vision do you have for your relationship with the child in coming years? I don't know. That's completely open, and I know that both the parents and my husband and I are open to what that relationship could look like. I do hope that, I get to stay in their lives, and that be that extended family, that I can, continue to get pictures and updates, and that, our children will know each other and everything like that, even though there will be that age difference, just because, they really have become a part of family to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for me as well, I'm not the child's mother. I was just, her birth mother. So I don't know what they'll have her call me. I know that I will get to see her when she's 2 and I have their other one. So we'll get to see them. For my children, we call each other belly buddies because they were all the same belly. So I tell them she's not your sister, but you guys are belly buddies. You guys are all in there. So I don't know what words we'll use, but Still family.
It's still family.
Right.
Did you talk to the baby during the pregnancy?
I don't think I did too much. I think that would have like been too much bonding with the baby. I feel like I don't know. What about you? You talking to
Oh,
the
I
baby?
totally talked to the baby.
I'm not one of those people.
Well, I have a 35-minute to an hour drive to work, depending on which office I'm working out of, and there's nobody else in the car. So I could say I'm talking to myself, but if I'm being completely honest with myself, I'm talking to the baby.
Yeah, if she gave me a couple cakes, I'll be like,
And-
what's going on in there?
Exactly. And like those are the conversations. Like, okay, calm down in there. Like we're just in the car. You know, like I'm not having full-on conversations with the baby or anything, at least not yet. But I know it's gonna happen. I'm going to talk to the baby. It's just the way I am.
How often did you communicate with the parents during the pregnancy?
I talk to them every week, even if it's just one or two messages, especially, you know, with them taking their trip and everything. We were on completely different time zones. I kind of felt like I had international parents there while they were on their trip. But I always make sure to send them updates. Sometimes it's even every other day or even every day, just depending on how active the baby is being or how I'm feeling, because I know they want to know those updates.
Yes, we almost talked daily. The doctor's appointments, I would have Skype, on the phone with me so they could see ultrasounds, hear the heartbeat, talk to the doctor. Luckily, I had a doctor that was so for this pregnancy surrogacy and so supportive of it, and he would, take the time to talk with them on Skype and answer any questions that they had too.
Yeah, no, that's been really great too, because my doctor has, I believe he said he had 2 other ladies that he's currently seeing that are doing surrogacy pregnancies as well. So I'm not the only one that he's seeing for that, and I'm really excited that my parents get to come down for our next appointment, because then they can meet him in person and everything like that. And we've done like voice recordings for the heartbeat to send to them and everything. And he always makes sure to hold it closer to the recording for me, so that way like it's getting nice and clear. So my doctor's been extremely supportive as well.
Yes.
Did you ever feel the intended parents were micromanaging during the pregnancy? What things would you feel were appropriate or inappropriate coming from the intended parents? They have not micromanaged at all. And I see Erica shaking her head over here as well.
They were not trying to tell me what to eat, trying to tell me what to do. They let me live my life the way that I saw fit.
Exactly. And I mean, because I never had a request from them that I was like, oh my gosh, they're requesting this from me. I don't even know how to answer the question of what would feel appropriate or inappropriate. But I do know if I ever felt like I was getting an inappropriate request from my intended parents, that is when I have NWSC on my side to talk through it. And everybody goes through a contract process.
Exactly.
And if it's not in your contract, then it's something that needs to be discussed. And same thing, I've never been asked to eat a certain way or anything like that, although I have to eat a specific way just for my own health. But, it's one of those things where I don't think I've ever felt micromanaged at all.
Yeah, everything comes to the table before you even sign up for it. With your match, you should know what you're getting before you're even pregnant with your baby.
Yes.
I know there are some parents out there, and like me, if they asked me to do something, I'm flexible. I would be willing to do it, but I was never asked to do anything that I wasn't willing to do. How do the intended parents help you during difficult stages?
I haven't had a stage where I felt it has been difficult, at least not yet. But they've always supported me. They've asked how I'm doing, which to me, even just that message of how are you doing, is great. And then when I've talked up my husband a little bit and been like, he's taken on more than he has. He's on these group messages, and they'll send a message back to him of, thank you, Nick, for taking such great care of her and things like that. So it's really great, to have that. But I haven't had a difficult stage where I felt like I've needed something extra from them than what I'm already getting.
Yeah, when my most difficult stage was when the first transfer with the miscarriage, and I felt like they were very supportive, calling me, and because I kind of felt like a failure a little bit, but they helped me stay strong and overcome that and keep moving on. and any other, like just a day, being pregnant, your hormones. I felt like I could talk to them, and the dad was really good at just, helping me get through it and taking things day by day.
Do you mind the intended parents asking how you're feeling and how the baby is doing all the time? I don't get asked all the time, and to be honest, I think I send them more more updates on how I'm doing, how the baby is doing, before they even get the chance to ask the question, because I'm also caring for a same-sex couple. So it might be different if I were caring for what would be considered a traditional couple of a male-female couple. The mom might want to be asking those questions more, but I feel like I actually send them that information before they even have the chance to ask me. But if they were asking me every day, I would be totally okay with it, because it's their baby. They want to know how their baby's doing. They want to know how I'm doing carrying their baby for them. And it wouldn't bother me at all, because it's just it's a quick message back to them and maybe a couple more, and and then you move on in the conversation or during your day.
Yes, with the father, I was like, I can give you as much gruesome detail as you want of my day-to-day. If that's what you prefer.
I agree.
He didn't, but I was willing to be that open. And I feel like you kind of have to have that openness with whoever you choose as your match. How did the financial compensation weigh into your decision to be a surrogate?
It didn't.
You can't let the money be the reason why you're doing it.
Exactly. Like, this was a decision I made, and then when I did the intake form and found out that Oregon was a state that you could be compensated for in it, that became a way for me to become a little bit more financially secure in other areas of my life. Doing this journey has nothing to do with the money for me. It has everything to do with creating a family.
Yes, I feel like I'm helping them with their family, and they're helping me with my family. The compensation, it did fill some parts of my life that really helped out, but you can't put a price on what you're doing. It's a life, What are your expectations of the intended parents to be present for your physical exams during the pregnancy?
To be honest, my intended parents live 3 hours away. I don't expect them to drive 6-hour round trip every 4 weeks and then 2 weeks and then weekly to be at every appointment. But if they asked, and they have asked, to be at certain appointments, they've always been very generous of how I feel about them being at that appointment. And I was very honest with them in the match meeting, and I'm very honest still. If they want to be there, I am totally willing to let them be there, because this is their experience. This is their pregnancy as well, even though I'm the one carrying for them.
Yes, mine internationals can, be there physically. But if they had lived here, I wouldn't have minded, if they wanted to come to every appointment. I like the support. They did come with Skype, the day of, I think it was the day before I had the baby, I had a doctor's appointment just to check things, and he came, he was there, got to hear the heartbeat again, and then I remember my exam when my water broke. He was there while they were examining me. He was there when they were cutting the baby out of me. So, yeah, I didn't mind it. And if anything, I think that's great that they can experience that with you. But then again, if you're, more shy about those things, they don't have to be in the room with you,
Did you keep working during the pregnancy? Yes. I work full-time Monday through Friday right now, every day. Sometimes I work more than 8 to 5. But yeah, no, you're able to keep working as long as you're healthy and your doctor feels you can continue working and you can feel you can continue working. There's no restriction on that at all.
It's definitely something that I sat down and talked with my bosses about, the journey that I was going to be taking, and they were all supportive of it. There was times when I wasn't able to come into work because of an appointment, and so you definitely have to have a flexible job for this, to make your appointments and for the unexpectedness of it all. And definitely, the willingness to leave for maternity leave, even though it's not for your own child, But my job was very supportive of it. So you definitely need to check with your own to see if you get the same kind of support.
Yes, and I've been very lucky that my employers have been extremely supportive, and even now are starting to comment of, oh, you're showing more. So it's definitely been fun having that support as well.
How do your kids feel about the surrogacy?
My oldest is definitely starting to notice more. Like at first, I don't think she really realized what was going on. And now that I am starting to show more, like even this morning, like before I left, she was like, I saw her looking down at my belly, and I was just like, yes, like it's happening, honey. And she's very inquisitive. So I know that like the instant she gets me by herself, she's going to start asking me a lot of questions, which is totally fine because that's the way she is. And my youngest, every now and again, she'll like bump me the wrong way or something, you know, and I'm like, oh, honey, careful, you don't want to hurt my tummy. And then she'll come and give me a big ol' hug and kiss my tummy. So like she doesn't fully understand because she's 3, but she understands that, you know, it's mommy's tummy and we have to be extremely careful because there is a baby in there. And so it's really cute actually watching her, because I never actually thought that I'd get to see her like get to go through a pregnancy. So it's actually been really neat to see how she would kind of react if it was like her sister or brother type of pregnancy, because she's very cautious.
Yeah, with my oldest, I'm very honest with my children, and she knew everything that was happening. And she knew about the family. She met the family. She played with the family. When we went to the mall and they were riding rides together, you know, and so we were really open with that. My son, he knew there was a baby in the belly, and then all of a sudden there wasn't a baby in the belly. So I don't know if he'll really remember that, but he'll get to see her when they're back in, you know, America again. So maybe, you know, I don't think he'll remember that I was pregnant though. Maybe the next one, the second one. Yeah, but they handled it both well, and I really did like that. That they could experience it with me. You know, my kids kind of helped me get through it. When you're leaving the hospital, coming home to your kids helps you get through it all. You know.
During the pregnancy, what are your feelings for the baby? I care about the baby, but it's definitely different. It's not the same bond that I had with my girls, and it's because I knew going into this wasn't going to be my baby. This baby wasn't going to come home with me. So I care about the baby, and, you know, I may end up loving the baby, but I know that in the end that the baby isn't mine, and that the baby is going to a very deserving and loving family.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I kind of had to put up a little wall because I get very attached to things. So from the beginning, I had that detachment there. But I love the baby. I love the family. So I think it was good that I had that wall there, because you don't want, you know, to get depressed that you know, don't have the baby anymore. But it wasn't my baby, you know. So that made it a lot easier.
And it looks like that's all the time we have for questions. Thank you so much for joining us. We're going to pass it back over to Carla and Rachel.
Bye. Hi, thank you, Erica and Nikki. The first one is, do I get to choose my own OB?
Yeah, so that's a really great question, one that I get frequently from surrogates, and I think it's important to remember that we really see this as your pregnancy and their baby. So we want you to have a good relationship with your doctor, and especially if you have an OBGYN that you've worked with for your own children, if you want to continue working with that doctor, we will do what we can to support that relationship, and we want to make sure that maintains positivity throughout this process.
I'd also say insurance plays a role, so we want to make sure that the hospital and the doctor that the surrogate chooses will be covered by an insurance policy. And if the surrogate comes to us without insurance or an inappropriate insurance policy, we'll refer her to an agent to apply for a new insurance policy.
Yeah. Another question is, do surrogates have to travel? And that's also a great question. Go for it, Carla. That's a good one.
So the answer is maybe. It really depends on where the fertility clinic is located that the intended family is working with. We work with over 17 fertility clinics throughout the U.S. Surrogates, even if they're working with an international family, do not have to travel internationally. You're really just going to the fertility clinic. So if you live close by, then you don't have to travel very much. And if you don't live very close to the fertility clinic, generally there are 2 trips associated with an IVF cycle. First is screening, and the next is an embryo transfer trip. So it's really up to you, and you would know that in advance. Is that something you share with surrogates?
Yeah, I was going to say that you always have a couple, you have at least some notice, a couple weeks notice in regards to when your trip is going to be, and we're really happy to help with childcare, and for the embryo transfer you can have a companion fare, you can bring someone with you, and so we try to make it as smooth as possible and convenient for you.
And another question, who pays for travel expenses?
Yeah, great question. So if you are traveling for mileage or if it's for airfare, up until you're matched with a family, we would be covering that. And then when you're matched with a family intended parents, it's likely that that would be something that would be included in your contract.
And we can handle that a couple different ways. We can either reimburse you directly for receipts that you spend on travel, or more commonly for big stuff like airfare, we just book the travel for you. So definitely travel expenses that are required by the surrogacy are covered through the trust account.
And it looks like that's all of our questions today. So again, thank you so much for joining us.
And please be in touch again if you have more questions or want to move forward with working with our agency.
Yeah, you can give us a call, get some more information that way, or you can fill out an intake form on our website. And our website is www.nwsurrogacycenter.com. And we would love to hear from you.
And another big thank you for Eric and Nikki for sharing their stories today.
Erica and Nikki. Have a great day.
Bye.